like lower league.
And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. Yes, we are back again. It is the Absolutely Premier League show tonight. It is Tuesday evening. Unless you're watching at another time, then it's not Tuesday evening. It's whenever you're watching it. But we're here today to talk Premier League. There hasn't been any Premier League at the weekend, so we're going to do something a bit different today. We're going to rank the Premier League teams in terms of how they're performing versus how we thought they'd perform at the start of the season, expectations versus reality. We might chuck a bit of FA Cup in at the end for the sole remaining member of the team who's still in it. Heather and I will sit back at that point, but we will have that at the end as well. But of course, the main man is here, the man to my left, the wonderful man, Mr. Anthony Waters in here. Ant, how are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, evening, Sam. Evening, everyone. Yeah, all good. As you said before, just basking in the glory that were the last men standing in the absolute Premier League podcasters teams in the FA Cup, I think. So we'll take that. Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yes, it was a weekend with when your team doesn't play for a weekend, it's a kind of weird feeling, isn't it? When all the other games are kind of going on, there's an element of chill to it, but then there's also a bit of I was hoping for something, but there we go. I'm not Everton, and me and Rebecca do dueling next Monday, so I'll have to wait for that for Man United. But yeah, I'm not doing too bad. Thank you, mate. And of course, the wonderful Heather is with us as well. Heather is back again. How are you doing, Heather?
Not so bad, but as you say, we had to football-free weekend, so it was quite nice in a way, but after about 5 minutes I was bored, so
yeah, it does go quite quickly and then quite slow at the same time, but there we go. It's only 1 week and it's back, and we're back to Premier League football this weekend. It's not just us, there's people in the chat. We have Graham's been here since 10 to 8. He's ready. He's prepared. He's a man keeping tabs on all the fixtures for us. Of course, it is a busy night of football taking place tonight because there is plenty of EFL football on as well. So appreciate people will be watching that too. We've got Charlton Portsmouth, of course, of Graham's very intriguing. They're not going so well so far. Rebecca's Accrington are at Tramp, that fixture that she loves so much, Tranmere versus Accrington. Rochdale, of course, Shah's playing tonight. It's a draw. And then there's two podcast derbies tonight. We've got Bradford Stockport and we've got Oldham versus Bristol Rovers as well, with Chloe and Aaron and Claire and Dreety. But plenty going on there. And yes, there's Graham giving us the updates. It was 1-0 Scunthorpe. It's 1-0 with Rochdale. It was 1-0 to Portsmouth. It's now 2-0 to Portsmouth. Sean's here as well, rating the referee's performance at the end of the season. We could. We could. Might be difficult to do a tier list with that, I think. You could do your own. If you feel like doing your own, go ahead. And Dreety is here. She's from a very cold Valley Parade, yes. Every time I speak to Dreety, she's got snow or minus degrees conditions. So that's it. Enjoy the evening. Hopefully, for your sake, for Claire's sake, we'll wait and see. But yes, thank you everybody for joining us. Should we get stuck in? Should we explain how this is going to work to our wonderful viewers, how we're planning it? Bear with me if my internet connection and my computer holds up while I try to do this. This might get a bit messy. But what we have here is a homemade tier list, basically. So we are going to look at all the clubs in the Premier League, and we are going to decide whether their expectations versus the reality are completely different. So did we think that they were going to do really well and they're not? Did we think that they weren't going to do very well and they are? So therefore you have your tiers on the left. So we have at the top absolutely smashing it. Are they doing pretty good? Are they as expected? Not so great, and absolutely tanking it. And we're going to try and get 4 in each box. So that's where we can muck about with stuff at the end to try and find stuff if we do. Or we might just not agree. We might just think everybody bar Sunderland's having a shocking season and it might be a quick show. We'll wait and see how it develops. So the way I'm going to play it, guys, is I'm going to let each of you pick a team first and we'll just chat about their season and then stick it in a column and we can discuss it. So, Ant, would you like to go first and pick a team?
Do I get the first choice of the board?
The selection. You've got the whole board on the right to choose.
Right. I'm going to leave Sunderland till later because I think it would have been quite. I think it's going to be quite predictable where they go. I'm going to go for, because I like to pick teams that are doing crap. You know what I mean? We all like that, don't we? And I am going to go for Crystal Palace, and I'm going to put Crystal Palace in the absolutely tanking column.
So there we go. And starting with Crystal Palace in the absolute tanking column. So there we go. We'll go on the big screen now. So Ant can explain why Crystal Palace in the absolutely tanking column for you.
Well, it started probably before the season started. Obviously losing Eberechi Eze and amongst others, I think. But the fact they lost him just before the start of the season, and then obviously they've had this whole palaver with Margee, Willie Won't stuff, and then the start of the season okay, got off to a really, really good start, but then since then they've been horrendous and have found themselves, obviously I know they won last weekend, didn't they, but they found themselves in a relegation battle, and I don't think anyone would have thought that last year's FA Cup winners and this year's Community Shield winners would have found themselves in the midst of what could be a quite an exciting relegation battle at the end of the season. Add that to the fact that Oliver Glasner's now decided he's going to leave. Add that to the fact that Margee has now gone to Manchester City for pittance, for a player his calibre. Gone there for 20 million. I think it's an absolute steal. And obviously they went out of the FA Cup third round in Macclesfield, which one of the biggest shocks of the FA Cup. It's just not a very happy place, is it? And I think a lot of people were expecting, could they be the one to challenge for top four, especially the way they played last year, with the players that they've got and everything like that, and they've just fallen off a cliff, to be fair. So that's pretty much my reasoning for that.
That is Ant's reason. I think it's fair. As you said, lost a lot of players. Gahey going, Eze went as well. They've got Mateta looking like he's on the way out as well. And I just think it just sums it up, didn't it? That collapse against Wolves the other day, it was just symptomatic of a team and the speed of that collapse as well. Was it 6 minutes, I think, Burnley turned it around at the end of the first half?
Yeah. And you got to remember, we played Burnley the week beforehand. And we beat Burnley 3-0. And Burnley looked, I think I'd said it on this podcast, they were the worst team I've seen this season at the stadium. Probably the worst team for a long time. I thought, you go 2-0 up against a team who were battling for their lives down there and confidence is low, you're at home. It was, the fact that they just very, very quickly obliterated, didn't they? But they obviously picked up a good result the following weekend, didn't they? It's a difficult one, because I think West Ham will pull themselves out of it too. They pull in, and the fact that they've got obviously Palace, Spurs, and I'm sure we'll get into those teams, and Forest as well. Who I don't think many people predicted Forest would be down there. So it's been quite interesting to see because obviously a lot of people before the ball was kicked were saying the 3 up or 3 down, this, that, and the other, which is fair enough. But obviously Sunderland and Leeds as well have both been excellent all season long. So I think there's going to be a surprise relegation candidate, isn't there? I think this season.
It could well be, and it's just the turnaround for me of Palace, where they had the success of the FA Cup, the first trophy in their history, amazing steps into Europe, excitement with that. You could kind of tell early on, they started that European campaign so early because they were in kind of the playoffs area for that, to get through the qualifiers. They've had so many games. The squad's not that big anyway. They started to lose their best players. The Glasner rumblings happened quite quickly in the season. But as you said, Ant, they started the season really well. They had the Community Shield against, Liverpool, which most teams, don't always look at. But I think for them, it was a massive kind of thing as well. They started positive, but it's just got worse and worse and worse. Heather, on Palace, anything else to add? I mean, Graham is not going to disagree with you whatsoever. But
personally, I would put them in as expected, because at the moment they're 13th and they always finish 12th. Always. So I wouldn't put them down that as far as we have maybe the next one up, but
So Heather's proposing a potential. I mean, we can always move this as we go. So suddenly we get to another team and think, actually, we've been a bit harsh there. We've got too many. So this can be a moving board. So if I put Palace at the minute, should I put them on the cusp?
Put them on the periphery.
On the periphery of absolutely tanking it and not so great. And if that was a relegation zone, they'd be bang in trouble.
Yeah, because there's definitely 4 teams I could put in this absolutely tanking it, but I don't want to be biased towards a certain team, even though I think we are. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it on there and then we'll make our minds up at the end.
This is it. We'll see how it is. Surely,
I mean, they've even got the song about it that their goalkeeper keeps singing, haven't they?
It's not a great
I won't
place.
repeat it.
No. Another song from the stands that will keep in the stands. But Heather, go on then. You can have the next pick. Which team from the right hand side would you like to discuss and propose where to place?
Okay, so if we're starting from the bottom upwards, I would go with Forest. Again, they've got into Europe. They're all crowing about it and they're just falling off massively. And I can genuinely see them getting relegated. I think probably their squad isn't big enough for Europe. And obviously it was a bit of a surprise for them to get in. But they probably, the last 2 seasons, they seem to have spent massively and got loads of players in. And then this season, when they've really needed them, they haven't. And their manager is gone again. The owner seems like an absolute Fruit Loop. And I don't have any hopes for them really.
She got low hopes for Forest.
It's a very strange managerial appointment, isn't it? Getting a man who helped, man who was at Wolves earlier on this season and got sacked from Wolves.
Got sacked from Wolves for not being good enough, who are bottom of the table, and let's go and employ him because he'll be fantastic. Yeah,
it's his pal, isn't it? It's the owner's pal. He's friends with him, but we've seen that happen before, haven't we? And it doesn't.
He had that with Ange, didn't he? Because he just kept talking about the fact that they loved him in Greece, and it's just kind of that didn't work either.
I'm happy, Heather, to have Forest in absolutely tanking it. Like just the fact that they've been the first club in Premier League history to have 4 managers in the season. It's 4, isn't it? Because they've sacked 3.
Oh yeah.
The fact that they were in Europe and the fact that they'd had such a good season last year, probably the biggest fall off in form. I think you could see it coming a little bit, but not as to the extent that the 4th bottom and really fighting for their lives and sacking managers not being able to beat Wolves at home despite having 30 shots on goal. I think it's quite I think that's a fair point. And obviously the big players aren't on form as well, are they? The Hudson Odois and aren't playing very well. Morgan Gibbs-White, Elliot Anderson, I think's had a little bit of a fall off in form as well. They say he also always our best player by a mile, but what's that comparing it to? And I like Elliot Anderson, even though he's ex-Newcastle. I think he's a hell of a footballer. But you would expect someone like him then to pop in with a few more goals now to be really the linchpin of the squad. I don't think he is. So, well, should we move Palace up to not so great then? And then we can always move them around as expected if we need to.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Forest are in absolutely. They were one of my 4 that I would have put in absolutely tanking it. I
think that's fair. Sorry, that manager appointment on top of everything that they've had, that removing another manager, has just kind of just put the icing on the cake for the craziness. I mean, I think we've had Forest fans in here before always saying about how Marinakis is ambitious, but there's ambition and then there's just kind of chucking stuff out there, chucking stuff until it sticks, And he's got previous at Olympiacos. They've done kind of similar things, I think, in the past. And it's just to go from what was, again, a phenomenal season last season. They were really clever how they watched. They just completely ripped up the book with the managerial appointment. The issues that they had at the start of the season with Nuno. Ange coming in as a complete opposite manager. Dyche would have kept them up for me.
Yeah.
They keep Dyche, they stay up. They're not going, do they go further beyond that? Now, to me, wasn't the time to... I mean, and Pereira, he did a good job at Wolves at the end of last season. And I don't think that club, in terms of what they did and how they supported him in the summer, was that helpful. So I'd be interested to see what he could do. But he's just... Forest are not going to give anyone any time. And particularly now, like, what's he going to do if they go on a really rubbish run now? They drop into the relegation zone. I wouldn't put it past him to suddenly appoint someone else for 3 games at the end of the season in panic mode again.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what you said about the timing of the appointment seems strange. Had it been like March, April, where there's sort of 6-7 games to go, and the teetering, like, because that's what we used to do. We used to like sack a manager in April, get a new manager bounce, and you stay up, and we did it for like 5 years on the spin. But it's totally different now. They've lost 1 of the last 6, but how many have they won now? There won't be many. They draw a lot of games, don't they?
Yeah, they did beat West Ham and Brentford away from home. It's the Burnley and the Leeds ones that kind of stick in mind.
And Wolves, because the drew at Wolves, didn't they? They drew at home to Wolves. I think I don't know whether, because I quite like Sean Dyche, but I don't think he's had the impact as what they expected of him there. I think they were expecting him to come in, make them sturdy, make them solid at the back, and that's not really happened. And there's still and the football I watched them against was, yes, I had a lot of chance, a lot of ball, but the football was turgid. It was so slow as well. I was expecting to be there like nice and quick, and obviously the fans have got a little bit sick of it, haven't they? But I think we've got them in the right place. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's fair to have them there. So go on then, shall we move on? And next team to select.
So I'll go for one. Are we going to go from bottom to top, or am I going to
whatever you like?
Oh, Sarcevic has scored against Stockport. He used to play for them. Go on, Treaty.
Tweety's ahead. Tweety's up in the derby. And Rebecca's winning as well. It was a double. Another sneaky video printer on the side of that one as well. A double result.
Both of them, obviously, Sarce was ex-Stockport, and so was Paddy Madden, isn't he? So 2 ex-Stockport players there. Just need a current Stockport player to score. I'm going to go for as expected, and let's pick... Wolves.
Wolves as expected.
Yeah. Because even though it's the fact that they've only won 1 game all season, even though the fact that they're going to go down, I thought from before a ball was kicked that they would go down. I didn't think they'd go down as meekly as what they are, but I think they never got any money, they never got anyone in, they never really... they just tried to go off last season. They obviously lost Al Nouri to City, who was a fantastic player. And I thought before a ball was I'm fairly confident I put them in my relegation 3. So I was expecting them to go down. So I would put them on as expected, just because, I thought they'd go down. I thought they'd probably go down quite comfortably. And the proven is right. The fact that they're going down even more comfortably than what I thought is the only thing. But I can't really put that absolutely tanking it or not so great, because I didn't expect them to do anything at all. So I'm just, you know what I mean? So I'll work that. I think I've worked that into a pleasant enough excuse to put them there.
To put them as expected. I mean, it's the season's been turgid for them. I mean, they're currently, the points record is horrendous. I agree with you that they are. I think definitely when you look at what they did, I think by the end of the window, I think my thoughts before, when I looked at my prediction, I don't think I had them in the bottom 3, because I just thought that they'd do something with the Cunha money a little bit better. They tend to have bought not okay. They didn't do anything, and then they had the whole almost sold Jorgen Strand Larsen at the end of the window. He then didn't do anything during the season for them, and then kind of come January, he's off as well. But it's just, I don't know, but they've just been so poor, haven't they? Even if you thought they were going to go down, it's been even worse than you could have possibly even imagined, perhaps, for them. But I mean, what do you think, Heather? Wolves, I mean, apart from not being very good, what's your take on them?
Yeah. I don't really know. They just don't seem to have anything about them this year, do they? Like, they've had a couple of good players, and they still have got a couple of good players, but I think they're just, I don't know. I was hoping that when Rob Edwards went there that he'd be able to lift them up a little bit, but he clearly hasn't.
It's not happened. Outside of that Mane kid that's Charles development down at Rochdale to bring him through, that's all they've had.
And there's one of the other back four was pretty good as well when I watched them, but can't remember his name. So it can't have obviously been that scintillating.
They've also become a commentator's nightmare because they've signed the third Gomez in their squad now as well. So they now have three players called Gomez, with Angel Gomez coming in there as well.
I don't think Strand Larsen's a big miss for them, and they really have. I don't know how they sold him for 50 million. It was just mental.
Yeah. I think they had to cash in.
He got 2 goals on his debut, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Against, I mean, they lost the game, didn't they? But yeah, he got 2. I agree with you. Whether I thought it was fantastic money, and it'll set them up nicely for next season. To be fair, when they're in the Championship, they have for 45 million quid and all that.
Yeah.
In Cybersport, there, Borough fans reckon they've got better since Edwards left for Wolves. You can wholeheartedly agree with that. They play some lovely stuff, the Borough, and obviously they've been up to second in the table. We're up top of the table up until last night, so which I'm sure Simon's over the moon about. But that's for Thursday. And whatever Tony's been on, I'll have 2 of them. Wolves
I was just about to say that.
It's prediction.
There's not a chance.
There you go. If you put £1 on it, you'll lose £1. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
That one. But I
don't think the bookies would even take £1. To be fair.
Why not? Yes, Jorgen Strand Larsen, I think good time to sell in with the price. I mean, that's a super price. Adam Armstrong is clearly then preparing for the Championship. That's not going to do you anything in the Premier League in a relegation race.
He's a top Championship striker, though. He is a really good Championship striker.
Yeah, so I think he'll sit good. So should we sit them at the moment as expected, and we can see how everything else plays out. So control of the board, back to you, Heather. Which would you like to select?
Shall we go for another category then? I'll put Everton in pretty good.
Everton in pretty good. Their first season at the Hill Dickey as well.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'm happy with that.
Considering where they've been the last few seasons, sort of floating around the relegation spots, I think they're doing fantastically at the moment.
They are. I think they bought well as well. I think, I said that Grealish is alone, isn't he? But a great addition to bring Grealish in. I like Dewsbury Hall as well. I like with him being out. He's been a real positive for them. And okay, there's still some question marks perhaps over their strikers, but they've got Iliman Ndiaye. Goals are being spread around a little bit. And they've been okay at home, haven't they? But there's always this, isn't there, with a new stadium? It takes a bit of connection. So I remember Arsenal had a similar problem. Spurs have had it. West Ham had it. I remember Southampton having it years ago with St Mary's. It takes a bit of time moving from it. I presume you had it the same at the Stadium of Light. It just
we were all right. We hit the ground running at the Stadium of Light. We were all right. But you are right though. It does take some getting used to.
And I think they've had a decent, and because they've had a decent run away from home, it's really sort of benefited them, and they've had some really good results. And they've invested fairly good in the squad. They've got a good manager in David Moyes who kind of knows what he's all about. And they're kind of on the cusp, aren't they now? That kind of European places where it could get super good. And I mean, if they finished above Liverpool, then it would be something amazing for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sorry, I got distracted. Oldham have got a penalty against Bristol Rovers. And Charlton are getting big 3-0. I'm just waiting for Graham's goal.
Okay. Graham may well be switching that off shortly.
No, but I think Heather's right about Everton. I think they're I think they are having a good season. I think you could probably put like 5 or 6, probably up to 7 or 8 teams actually in the bracket of doing really well, but like a bad run off getting pulled down, because between like the top 4 and the bottom 4, it's quite open, isn't it? So it just takes a couple of wins. But that's been the beauty of the Premier League this season. I think it's been so, I wouldn't say unpredictable, because the teams at the top are at the top, teams at the bottom are probably who you said at the bottom. But that middle one, with so many teams having, the ones you're expecting to be like, top 4, like Liverpool, Newcastle, not having the greatest season, but Man United, who are doing well, Bournemouth, who had a bit of a bad run but have recovered well. There's so many teams that can finish in that European spot, so it's really interesting. And Everton have been the one where you haven't really noticed them this season, have you? Where like you never think, oh, they've had a really bad run of form, or they've had a really good run of form, but they're always there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's a good shout.
Yeah, I think they're a team that have done it, as you said, and they've kind of gone on, won a couple, lost a couple, won a couple. So it's just kept them fairly kind of nicely ahead above water, and not kind of maybe done anything too spectacular, but quietly going about the business. I mean, I'm not looking forward to going and playing them next Monday. They were a nightmare when they came to Old Trafford with 10 men. They dug in, and it was an Everton of old. So now they've got a bit of flair alongside it and excitement. I think Everton are starting to build themselves well out of the doldrums into where they can be positive about their future again. So it's good. Although it's not so good for Graham, who says Portsmouth being made to look like prime Barcelona by Charlton at the minute. So there you go.
There's an absolutely huge result happening in League Two at the minute. Salford, who took Man City all the way. Obviously, it's a bit tiredness off Saturday, but they're getting beat 3-0 at home to Newport. That's a huge result. Oldham have scored. It's 2-0 to Oldham. So Aaron will be happy doing his pattern going to Amsterdam this week, won't he?
He will be a happy man, but Chloe probably less so at the moment in the derby. I think I'm pretty happy with Everton. Pretty good. I think that's fair. I think that's a definite agreement. So Nick, Ant, you're next up.
Yeah.
Next team.
So top of the tree. I am going to miss Sunderland out for this. I'm going to put, because this is a team who I thought would get relegated. This is a team I thought would probably be one of the first to sack the managers. And I think at the start of the season, he was probably top of the list. And that's Keith Andrews and Brentford. And I think they are absolutely. So I think they've been the surprise of the season. The fact that, obviously, as I said before, they lost Thomas Frank, they lost Brian Mbeumo, they lost Johan Rissa, they lost all these players. The lad who went to Arsenal, I can remember he was the captain, wasn't he?
Norgard, Christian Norgard.
Yeah, Norgard, that's the guy, yeah. And the fact they've just gone on and just said, well, we're not fussed. They've signed well. Obviously the striker doing well after being out injured. Nearly top of the goal scoring chart. He's gone off the boil a little bit, hasn't he now? But they've got some fantastic footballers. And the fact, like I say, again, we're mentioned with like what we mentioned with Everton and stuff like that. We're talking about them possibility of don't get words out, of them getting into Europe. And for me, I think a lot of people had them to go down just because the fact of all the players are lost, the fact they didn't really, they didn't put anything out for Thomas Frank. They just promoted Keith Andrews from within, set piece coach. He's doing absolutely fantastically. I think it's a really good field story for the league as well, because they are a good side. They don't go around throwing 60 million, 70 million quid at teams and all that for players. They just buy them young, sell them off at a big price, and then do it again, a bit like what Brighton do. But Bournemouth are doing it to a really, really good standard this year. So really chuffed with what they're doing. And I think they are absolutely smashing it.
I completely agree. Keith Andrews has done an unbelievable job. I think we said the other week, didn't we? We know that the manager of the year will probably end up going to the bloke who wins the Premier League, but Keith Andrews is. Everybody had them in that relegation, and as you said, for the reasons exactly why. And Mbeumo, Wissa, nobody really knew about Keith Andrews as a manager. They lost Thomas Frank, the stability, the kind of key manager that's been with them for years. But this is like a great example of why football's brilliant, because it can just throw you a surprise that no one can see a curveball and become really, a really difficult team to play against. Thiago's 17 goals. There's only Haaland that scored more in the Premier League. Everyone's talking about, Gyökeres, Sesko, Alexander Isak, and Igor Thiago, who's already on their books, has come through and smashed it. They just keep producing forwards as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the strikers that they've had at the club, obviously this goes back to Ollie Watkins playing there. Yeah. And, sold him for big money, replaced him. Had Ivan Toney, didn't they? Sold him, replaced him. Same as you said in Bruno and Wisson. And they scored the majority of their goals last year. And I think a lot of people have thought, oh, that's it for them. But now they've been absolutely fantastic. And like I say, I think that's what the league needs. You don't want to see teams like that and then, lose a lot of players, lose the manager, and then they go down with a bit of a whimper. And then you would struggle to think, would they come back up? But the fact that they're so well run and like I say, probably keep the books well. They're probably not in debt or anything like that. Got a nice stadium with some good fans and all that. Like I say, he's done a really good job, and he's a likable person, isn't he? Like Keith Andrews, when you see him on the touchline with his celebrations and all that, and he talks a really good game as well. So it's nice. It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that in the league. It's one of them ones, like you say, just a real surprise this season. So fair play to them.
He was super brilliant yesterday with Macclesfield as well when he was so good. I was about to say. Yeah. So carry on, Heather.
I was going to say he was a class act with the Macclesfield team, wasn't he, when he went in their dressing room and stuff?
He was so good. I did enjoy yesterday, actually, though, seeing Premier League taking on non-league, and it was the Premier League team that were putting corners on the goalkeeper and all of this. I'm thinking, there you go. It's how things sort of turn around. But he's done such a great job. I'd say even if you looked at that team on paper, and the one person we haven't mentioned is Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
Jordan Henderson's been, probably a few years ago, kind of, there was questions about the Saudi Arabia move, wasn't doing it at Ajax. And I think we probably all said when Sunderland went up, we thought that's what's going to happen. He'll come back, it'll be Sunderland. But obviously didn't. You've got Granit Xhaka, which you're well happy with. And Brentford will be well happy with Henderson. But for me, he's become a bit of a playmaker as well. Some of the balls he's playing through. Yeah. It's almost like they've let him become something new, haven't they? And he's really taken it on his shoulders.
Yeah. Yeah, and I watched them a couple of weeks ago against Newcastle, and not many teams go to Newcastle and now play Newcastle at St James's Park. You know what I mean? And they did a fantastic job. Did really, really. They're literally a team that all of the players know what they're doing. They know the roles. They haven't got any superstars, have they? You mentioned before about Henderson. Henderson's probably in the last stage of his career, but he's still a fantastic footballer. And Igor Thiago, no one knew that much about him and stuff like that, but they haven't got the no ego, no nonsense kind of approach to the way they play, and they're doing phenomenally well. They really are.
Yeah, super season. Are there anything to add on Brentford? You've been really impressed with them this season.
Yeah, I like that team anyway. They're sort of a similar sized team to us, and obviously I think they came up the year before we did, and their ground's not dissimilar to what we're aiming for. So, yeah, I'm pleased for them.
There we go, having a great one. So there we are. So far, we have one in each box. I'll move. I don't know why Forest have gone all the way over there. Marinakis has moved it probably. I don't know what they're doing in midway in the box. But right, so there we go. We've got one in each. It's back to you, Heather. Who would you like to select to join someone?
I'll go back to absolutely tanking it then, and I think I'll go for Spurs.
Spurs, yes, another of the managerial changes. What about Spurs, Heather?
I don't know, they're just more than Spursy this year. I don't know what's gone on there, but obviously last year they finished really low, and I thought, they're obviously gonna have to make changes because they've always been like a big six team, haven't they? And they started off the season reasonably well, and now they're just tanking it. So
it's been pretty weak. I mean, they've got a number of injuries. Yes, teams have got injuries this time, but they have obviously got a lot of injuries.
Maddison being out is a big problem. But
Maddison, they've got Kudus, they've got Solanke's been out for a long time. Richarlison's out, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah.
Kulusevski hasn't kicked the ball all season.
Kulusevski, yeah. Graham said Spurs looked up Spursy in the dictionary and said, hold my beer. So obviously, going back to the start of the season, they'd had and this was the thing, they'd had a terrible league season. It was just, obviously they won the Europa League, and it kind of, Ange then got sacked, but then everyone was like, okay, we're now on the Thomas Frank train. They had a really good performance against PSG in the Super Cup, but way before the season started. And I think everyone, and as you said, have started the season quite confidently, looked quite good, but you just know when a club and a manager doesn't, it was just never there, just never gelled.
No, he wasn't the big name that they wanted, was he? Thomas Frank from Brentford. But I do feel sorry for him in a way. I do feel sorry for him because he's a damn
good manager.
Yeah, he's inherited a shit show, hasn't he, basically?
They changed the behind-the-scenes stuff as well, and Levy went, and then a load of support he had, so he's suddenly in with new owners. It's a nightmare scenario for him.
I think, you know what, the worst thing that could have happened to Spurs was winning that Europa League. Because it was like, it wasn't the greatest of games. It was a bit like, who's the worst team? You know what I mean?
That was being generous, and it was a shocking game.
It was just a little bit worse on the day. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
it was a European final, and my team were in it, and I was bored. That's how bad it was.
I think that's probably the worst thing that could have happened to them, to be honest. They still sacked Ange, so that was never going to be a thing. And I think Spurs fans, maybe rightfully so, possibly wanted a bigger name than Thomas Frank, even though Thomas Frank did a fantastic job at Brentford. They were maybe looking at someone, a proven winner or along those lines, or maybe someone like Unai Emery from Villa, something along those lines. And that's what maybe just either thought, and they've never taken to him, have they? They've never taken to him, and the fact that the home form has been, but this isn't a new thing. That's like this has been happening with Spurs since Harry Kane left, and that's probably the problem with Spurs. Yes, he's irreplaceable as Harry Kane, but they've signed Dominic Solanke, who can't stay fit.
Which is weird. He never was injured for us.
Yeah, he was wasn't he? He was always, a very consistent footballer, wasn't he? The fact he was always fit, he always scored goals. He's gone injured, so they've had to change that already. And I agree with what I said about Maddison. Maddison's a huge miss for them, and he got injured in pre-season. Did his knee? Hasn't kicked the ball yet. Kulusevski as well. Heung-min Son going as well, which is a bit of a blow. And they've lost pretty much like the spine of the team there. And they've still got a problem there. At the back, they've got Christian Romero, who's a complete nutter idiot. He don't know what he's doing from 1 minute to the next. And Mickey van der Ven, again, who's a little bit, unfit. He doesn't get, he gets a lot of hamstring. And at times, he looks the best defender in the country. And then at other times, looks like he never kicked a football. So it's just been so inconsistent. The fact that they haven't been able to field a strong 11 all the time, probably never fielded the same 11 all season, and you are going to struggle there. I would put them in that category, though. I would probably agree that they should be put in that category, because you probably expected better this season. You thought it couldn't get any worse than last year, and it has got a hell of a chance of getting a lot worse, because they're the team at the minute who aren't in any form whatsoever. They've got no confidence. They've sacked the manager and then brought Igor Tudor in, who's had an abysmal record as a manager. So you're like, you know what I mean? And he's only in as an interim, so even if he does do a good job and keeps, or I don't know what his remit is his remit to keep them up? I don't know.
Must be to keep them up and steady the ship, isn't it?
But they might as well just give Harry Redknapp the job, man. You know what I mean? Harry, there's 10 games, do what you can.
That's what I mean. I saw something. I was reading an article about him on the Athletic, because obviously most of his career has been in Italy. I think he had a bit of a stint with Marseille, but he has had stints with Juventus and Lazio. He did have a decent start there. They said, he had a decent start there, and he seemed to be able to. And he might be one of those, because you get those managers, don't you, that can kind of stabilise stuff, get everybody working a bit more, structurally, and being disciplined, and get some initial results, and then something else. But he's also not managed in the Premier League. As you said, the place is a mess at the minute. He also plays 3 at the back with wing backs. They haven't got any fit wing backs. And Romero's on the start of his stupid suspension as well. So he hasn't got the defenders to play the system they brought him in to play, but never mind. It's just crazy. And also I think the thing with Spurs is that wage bill is horrendous. The wage bill is like they're in the top 6 and they're not. You know, the Champions League is the only thing kind of sustaining them at the moment. But they are in just an absolute dire straits. They've got the North London derby coming up. I mean, this guy's going to have to be an absolute miracle worker to get something out of that, you would have thought.
Going to see a cricket score there.
You probably could, yeah. I think you're right. I think they're going to play right into Arsenal's hand, especially if they're playing 3 at the back. Because what are Arsenal good at? Getting the ball down the wings. They've got, you know, whether Martinelli plays, whether Trossard plays, whether, and obviously Saka on the right. You know, and that's what they do. That's why they score the majority of the goals from that side. So it is. I think Simon's made quite a clever comment, and I agree with that. I think they're probably just waiting to get Poch back, but there's no guarantees he wants to come back, because he got ousted there, didn't he? So, but that would be.
He won't come back if they're in the Championship, will he?
He certainly won't. No, he certainly won't. And it's, you know, like I say, a lot of people are saying, well, it's inconceivable. It's very, very conceivable that it could happen, because they're not in form. You're looking at West Ham have come from nowhere and starting to pick points up. You know, Forest, possible new manager bounce, you never know. But they're only 5 points off, 6 points off. So it's only a couple of wins.
It's not far. It's not far at all. What do you reckon, Heather? Scott Parker in charge of Spurs in the Championship next season? Possibility?
I think Burnley's going to hold on to him personally, because they're clearly going down and he can get them back up again. So why not? They would have sacked him by now, if not.
They could. Although if Tottenham go down, I reckon he'd jump, because you'd imagine.
Yeah, true.
The money.
He's a Spurs boy, isn't he? He played for them.
But Tottenham have got a lot of work to do, and Tudor's got a lot of work to do. I can't disagree. I think tanking it off the back of the fact that Europa League was supposed to be the thing that then kicked them into, and everyone went, "Oh, that's why the league form was rubbish," because you know, it was all thing was in there, and they're where they are again. And as you said, that then if it's season after season, that's not a fluke or a run or whatever. That's where you are.
Yeah,
that is where you are.
And the most amazing thing about it is, they are absolutely bossing it in the Champions League, and they look a completely different team in the Champions League. And then, you know, like they're going and beating, you know, some of the world's best teams. And then they're getting beat at home off Fulham or whatever. You know, no disrespect to Fulham, but it's just like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's not a great performance. So I think it's fair. Tottenham down and absolutely tanking it. So the new manager's currently sat in the bottom tier there. What are we on 6? So who's next? Whose turn is it?
It's me.
It's back to Ant next. Who's next?
Not so great. Newcastle United. Yeah, I think when you looked at the start of the season, you would have probably thought cup run and top 4, especially. I know they lost Alexander Isak, but they brought in Nick Walter-Mara, Johan Wissa, Anthony. I spent a lot of money in Newcastle. Spent a lot of money on not much. It seems at the moment. Still, they've picked up a little bit from, like, you know, from Christmas and stuff like that, and obviously they had a good win over Spurs last week. Probably an expected win, but yeah, I think they look very tired. I think every time I watch Newcastle, they look very, very tired, and obviously they're out of the League Cup now, which obviously they've put a lot of effort on. They're doing well in the chat again. Another team are doing well in Europe. You know, playing Karabakh again in the next round of the Champions League, which they should win. But league form, I think they've been very, very inconsistent. At times they look very good, and at times they look not so great. So again, without any bias coming into it, because if I had bias, I'd put them absolutely tanking. But the fact you would see at the start of the season, if you ask a Newcastle fan, yes, they're the 10th now, aren't they? But the 10th, but they're a little bit off top 4. They've lost, obviously, the biggest game of the season to Sunderland at the Stadium of Light, and didn't really lay a glove on Sunderland. Their away form is a very, very worrying obviously take the Tottenham game out of it. The away form's poor. They'll lose a lot of leads, which is unlike Newcastle, unlike Eddie Howe as well. To be like 1-0 up or 2-0 up and losing them leads. So yeah, I'd say that's fair and honest without going into too much bias, because I thought they would be in a European place by now, especially when you look at how poor the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea have been this season. In Tottenham and obviously the teams like that, you would have thought they would be a shoe-in for a top 4 position, but it hasn't quite happened.
There's been a big drop-off for sure, and their run doesn't look great either. And they're City away, then they've got Everton, Man United, Chelsea, and then they've got Sunderland, I think, coming up as well, haven't they? That's not, Yeah,
and then obviously an FA Cup 5th round game against City, 2 games against Karabag, and then possibly Barcelona, I think, in the next round of the Cup of the Champions League. So it's a lot of football. I will say they have played a lot of football, but I also would say I don't think Eddie Howe's looked after his squad well enough. With the fact, even in the FA Cup, they didn't make that many changes. And yes, they won, but the one due to Aston Villa's goalkeeper being a complete idiot. But they don't make that many changes. He makes maybe 2 or 3. It's never like a wholesale thing where, and that's asking, it's asking a lot of your players, asking a lot, your Anthony Gordon's, who's now out injured, your Bruno Guimaraes, who's now out injured and out for a long time. Joe Linton's been off and on, hasn't he, with injuries? They're only like a Sandro Tonali injury from being in an injury crisis, aren't they, really? So, and I don't think there's been any, the signs that they've made, Baltimore had got off to a good start, but hasn't scored many goals since, since he's, he's I think he's scored 8 in 10 in his first 10 games. He scored 8 goals, and he hasn't scored many since. His best goal was obviously against Newcastle for us, but he scored, didn't he, on Saturday? But he hadn't scored for a little while. Wissa came injured, or came and then got injured on national duty, and hasn't really done much since he's been back on the side. Their best player has probably been Harvey Barnes all season, and even he's susceptible to an injury or 2. So, but I do think they've been flogged. I will say that. So yeah, I think that's probably fair. I'm trying not to be. I wouldn't put them as expected, and I wouldn't put them as tanking, and they're nowhere near smashing it up pretty good, are they? So I think that's the only place I can put them without, like I say, I think I'm being fair and honest there. I think that's a fair assessment from a Sunderland supporter. So.
I think it's pretty fair.
I think it's fair, and that's with me loving Eddie as well. So.
They've been definitely dropped off, and so that Bruno Guimaraes out for 2 months, he's been so critical to them as well. They're so reliant on him. There's no, they haven't won in 10 games without him. And then when you look at some of the signings that brought in, Alanga hasn't kind of quite worked, as you said, so they've started quite fairly well, but then they've just with what they've lost and now picking up these injuries as they get into a really heavy part of the season, it's asking a lot. As you said, they should. The expectations were that they would be up there challenging Champions League, and they're not there, and they don't look like that they're going to be chasing that down anytime soon. So I think, not so.
Well, I certainly don't think they'll hit Champions League, and I actually don't think they'll hit Europe, especially without Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's just so essential to them, and he's the best player by a country mile. He's the one who does stuff and all that, and the fact he's going to be out for 2 months, I think it's 10 weeks, isn't it? They said, up to 10 weeks with a hamstring tear. And it's a lot of games, as you said, it's a very, very critical part of the season where they've got City in the Cup, they've got City in the league, in the Champions League, and then some big games, as you said, like we've mentioned Everton, who are doing well, United, who have we'll get onto them later, but having a real good resurgence under Carrick. And obviously us, which is a derby, and anything can happen in a derby, and we'll have Granit Xhaka back by then. So,
and we've got to go up there, and Eddie hasn't beaten us yet. So,
there we are. Yeah, and Bournemouth now are back in form, aren't they, Heather? So, I think it's going to be. I think it'll be one where they just tail away. I think they had a really good result on Saturday, but it was down to Villa. Villa being
shot themselves in the
The
foot.
goalkeeper being an idiot, yeah. Yeah. And then they played well, don't get us wrong, they played well without that. And they did get a few really solid, like really shocking decisions against him. And the handball was absolutely ridiculous. I think the offside, the Villa's first goal was a mile offside, but yeah, we'll move on.
Yeah, not so great. Not looking good for Eddie Howe and Newcastle at the moment. Heather, where would you like to go next?
I'll go to As Expected, and I will go for Burnley.
Burnley, as expected. Burnley, of course, started off okay, but then it's kind of a big run of losses. It's all kind of submerged a little bit. As you said, expected to go down. Currently looking like that they're well likely to go down. What do you want to say about Burnley?
The fact that they've kept the manager that they have, I didn't expect anything different, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Negative football.
Yeah.
So, they're not going to do well with it in the Premier League. So
they've got quite a young squad as well, haven't they? Generally, I mean, Carl Walker aside, but the rest of them are fairly, not established Premier League sort of names. At least, I think the only thing for Burnley that's made it is because obviously we remember what they did last time we were in the Premier League, which was not a lot at all. So anything kind of was an improvement off of that. But and the way they were sitting, after 9 games, they'd won 3, they'd drawn 1. It wasn't too bad. But then they haven't, apart from that crazy Palace win the other night, they haven't won since Wolves back in match day 9. That's awful. That's a terrible, terrible run.
They've got a few unexpected wins and draws, but
yeah, a couple of draws. They had a bit of a, they drew with United, Liverpool, Tottenham in kind of a little spell a little while back, but it's all, I think as we said before, like you expected Forest maybe could drop they might be in trouble, but still you'd expect them to pick up more points probably than Burnley will in that period. West Ham certainly will, the way they're playing at the moment, and so there's nothing telling you that gap's closing, is it? It's only going to extend, you would imagine.
Yeah, I can't see them doing anything much more this season. They'll be going down.
Yeah, they're definitely relegated. They are definitely relegated. And I'm so sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I think Dan knows. So
Dan
sorry.
knows. Yeah. Dan knows. I think at least, I suppose the positive is there's more points in the bag this year, Dan. Every year there's more points in the bag.
The positive is they haven't sacked the managers, so they'll go down, but they'll come straight back up.
I agree with that, because there's not really anyone as well at Burnley, and again, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but you see, like when you look at sort of like, see if West Ham go down, you can see a fire sale there, can't you? Because there's so many players like Sancho, Somerville, Jared Bowen, Fernandez, a lot of players who will go to Premier League sides or whatever. You don't see that in Burnley, do you? Like
nobody's going to come in for Jadon Anthony. No disrespecting.
No.
I mean, I love the guy to bits, but
they're very good at when they go down as well. They loan a lot of the other players out as well. They get them off the wage bill, but then can still generate fees for them. That they're experienced at this kind of up and down. Sadly, how to manage it.
Yeah, and you've got to remember as well, they lost James. I know Martin Dubravka's had a great season for them, but they lost James Trafford. They lost the guy with the dual barrel surname.
Yeah, they left.
Is it CJ Egan Riley?
Egan Riley, didn't they? Yeah, he was great.
They lost him. He was
wasn't he?
But they were like this last year in the Championship. Was just they didn't score many goals, but they also didn't concede any. So so they did really well. They were a good Championship side without being, like your Leeds and your Leeds and your Coventries and Boroughs of this season, who were very exciting. They just won a lot of games 1-0, which wins a win, innit? But you can't do that in the Premier League because they've conceded too many goals. Will Danny Dyer born West Ham? She might have to.
He might have to. I think he say once there's one club that he'd let them go to. I don't know who that club is. But he's going to have to.
Sunderland. It's lovely up here, Danny. Come and join Sunderland.
You never know.
Is it Danny Dyer the dad or the daughter? Because I mean, he's getting married to the daughter, isn't he? Yeah. See, I like her. I like them both actually, so they can both come away. Actually,
yeah. I could see Bowen doing a job at like Everton or something, in their kind of rebuild on there. I think they'd be perfect on that right hand side with having Grealish on the left. And...
Not think he's Salah's replacement, Liverpool.
I don't think so. Liverpool seem to be going a bit more big time now. I think it'd suit them. I do think it'd suit them. I don't know if it's the sort of signing that they'd. It's a bit like I feel that's going back to. You remember when they used to buy like Stuart Downing and people like that?
Yeah.
I think Liverpool feel that they're on a different. But I think he would work. I think he'd be perfect on that right side.
I think he's a phenomenal footballer, mate. I think he's brilliant. I think he's a class player. I think they've, like I say, I think Somerville as well. I mean, he's done brilliant work there, hasn't he? Since he's signed for them, and he's having such a good like resurgence. And he's got a lovely goal at the weekend. That was only in the FA Cup. It was a hell of a finish that. I think West Ham will be all right. I think they'll stay up, so we might not be thinking about it. But going back to the point about Burnley, that they haven't got that. You know, who's going to sign Josh Cullen in the Premier League? Nobody. So it's the only player they'll lose is Dubravka, because I think he'd probably gone like a team who comes up because he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I could see someone picking him up as a.
I'd take him over Petro, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a bad shout. So, Ant, where do you want to go next? Do you want to carry on with West Ham as we started with the Hammers? Do you want to? Go somewhere else?
I'm a man for keeping it as a symmetry. I'm glad for that.
I'm a man of symmetry.
So, I'm a man of symmetry. That's going to be it. hashtag shirts. Pretty good. Let's have a look. Right, let's pick Man United for pretty good. And let's only go off since
the last 4 games.
Yeah, let's go off over a yin and a yang kind of season, because you've got to take like under Amorim, not so great. Under Carrick, absolutely smashing it. So what's the middle? Pretty good. Because I wasn't expecting Man United to be in the top 4, so you can't put them there. They're definitely not tangled. It's definitely not so great anymore now. So I would say pretty good, and it is, and again, I've said this a few times on pods and stuff. I'm glad that they're doing well, because I do like both Manchester clubs, but I've always enjoyed watching Man United. I've grown up with Fergie and all that, and the Champions League stuff. It's always been I've always had a little bit of a tinge for them. So, but yeah, it's been, as you say, Sam, all the time. It's never a dull day being a United fan. But even this season, it's been such a roller coaster, and we've got so many things we could talk about, to a point where a man's grown his hair. But the less said about that, the better. and yeah, but you'd think, could you sink to any lower depths, getting a bit of Grimsby in the League Cup? Getting to a point where, I mean, Ruben Amorim pretty much sacked himself by saying he was a coach, not a manager, or a manager, not a coach.
Yeah, he tried a couple of times before that as well. The comments after Grimsby was very close as well. Yeah.
So, but then since Carrick's come in, steadied the ship, just played to a point where, played a sensible team and a sensible formation. I mean, who'd have thought Bruno Fernandes plays well in a 10? You know what I mean? Just everyone apart from Ruben Amorim. Who thought that Kobe Mainoo was a superstar? Everyone but Ruben Amorim. And he's just good. Yeah, like I say, got some really good wins. Obviously, beating City at home and absolutely tearing City apart at home. Going down to Arsenal, being the only team to beat Arsenal at the Emirates this season. Tremendous result, and thoroughly deserved. Scored some lovely goals. And you're seeing some good plays, like Dorgu doing really well. Obviously, Ahmad's had a steady season. Really good signings in Bremo and Cunha, especially in Bremo. But I think Cunha's a fantastic player. Sesko's starting to hit a little bit of form. So yeah, a good season. Without, obviously, we kind of put them in smashing it, because of the start. But yeah, I think there's sort of green shoots of hope now springing up for United fans, and it's good to see. It's good to see them in the top 4, Sam. I will say that.
Yeah, hopefully they can stay there from my perspective. I think right, we've pretty much touched all of those boxes. I felt that way through the season.
I think you have been in
one
every
way
single box.
to be fair, I mean, absolutely tanking it at Grimsby was certainly the bottom of the bottom. We've had Harry Maguire scoring winners at Anfield. We've won down at Arsenal, the Carrick revolution kind of. So at the minute it feels good, but then you also think, well, 5 games ago it didn't feel very good at all. It felt in the right kind of mess. Where are we going? What's the next kind of stages? But at least what we're seeing, as you said, players in the right positions, a sensible formation, more structure, still entertaining and great to go forward and go watch. And we're still going to have moments of dropping off. So, I mean, if I looked at the expectations start of the season, I felt top 4 was achievable because of no Europe. I liked the signings and Mbeumo, Cunha. I thought this makes sense. Still with Amorim kind of like, okay, well, now's his chance to get it together. There is nothing else. He's got to sort this out. And then that kind of started to disappear away. But under Carrick, it's certainly put them in that kind of bracket again. And I think they'll be tough to keep out the top 4 because I just think, we've got there's no FA Cup last weekend. So they've got like sort of 10, 14 days to prepare. We can play the same team every game where you've got other teams, as we just mentioned, who are going to be dealing on like 3 or 4 fronts. They've got injuries. Touch wood at the minute, our squad is starting to come back. We've got a few niggles and Dorgu's going to be out for a while, but De Ligt's been out for a long time. They're kind of the big 2 major injuries, but the squad's okay to deal with that because we haven't got those additional competitions. If we had Europe and that, we might stretch a bit. But as you said, Bruno Fernandes has been fantastic. I mean, all season, the stats of he's created 74 chances, which is about 20 more than the next player, considering the position that we're in. And then you can see the link up now with Mbeumo and Cunha's coming through because they're putting Mbeumo up front as well. We've been able to play Ahmad as well. So that gives you another dimension. But Šeško's now knocking on the door, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your guys coming through and saying, no, I need to start, Carrick. You need to start starting me. And he might start against Everton. And it's good problems to have. Even players like Dalot, who have been on the periphery and has looked really good again back at right back. Looked a lot more stable than when he was in that wing back position. So, yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with. I think at the minute it feels pretty good, but I think just because of the way the season has, I can't guarantee where it's going to go next. But at this minute in time, I suppose, I have to go for pretty good. Hopefully it carries on. I have at work, and it's been in the cupboard for a couple of years. My Manchester United Champions League mug. And I can only drink out of it when we're in the Champions League. So I'm hoping in May
that's some cobwebs in.
The best. Yeah, it will be washed first. It needs to be washed first. I'm hoping for the most lovely cup of coffee come May with the security, but we shall see. Heather, any changes? You happy with Man United in pretty good?
No, I'm happy with that.
Good. Lovely stuff. Go on then, back to you, Heather. Who's next from the board?
I don't know whether to put them in absolutely smashing it because they have had a little bit of a drop off, but they have been smashing it for most of the season, and that's Aston Villa.
Mm-hmm. Yep, currently sat in 3rd. Yep, Unai Emery doing a great job, and to be fair, expectations. They're not far off a title fight. I don't think they're really in it, but they're kind of on the cusp. Yeah, what do you make of Villa's
they're
season?
second in their European competition as well.
I think they might win that. Emery loves that competition.
It's either them or my Danish team, so.
Trophy, is Mr. Billing there, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Could well be done. But just a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
Sat kind of in 3rd, and they've had some phenomenal results as well along the way. And although kind of it's been a bit
and they've sold off some big players as well.
They have, yeah. And they've replenished the squad again in January. They've not been scared to kind of, and they are, this is why, the FFP issues, etc., and Newcastle talking about it. They're in a similar position to Aston Villa, who seem to manage it pretty well. I think they had to get rid of Ramsey, didn't they? But they used that money really well in terms of what they bought in. So, 3rd place at the moment. They've got the run they've got coming up. They've got Leeds and Wolves next couple of games. Nice. They'll be wanting to put some wins in, and I think they'll be. I don't know what you guys think, but I think you almost nailed on for top 4. I think it would take a hell of a drop off.
Yeah.
I think they are smashing. I think we've got to put them in that bracket. You got to remember as well that I think they went 4 or 5 games without scoring a goal, didn't they? And then
awful start.
Got the goal, which was funny enough against us, but it was still terrible. I remember watching it; they were awful. I think, and I was thinking they might get sucked into something, because they were absolutely dreadful. And then they went on that run. There was 10 or 11 games they won in a row. This year, well, not this year, but like this season, they won like 10 or 11 in a row. And then, they've hit a little bit of a snap, but it's only, I think it's like one defeat in the last, I think it's one in the last, two defeats in the last 6, which, is a little bit of a fall off. But I mean, Arsenal,
it's just because the previous one was so good, wasn't it?
Exactly, I mean, Arsenal
that's the only reason.
Yeah, Arsenal have only won 2 in 5, so it's practically the same form, isn't it? So I still don't think they're in a title race. Just the fact, Arsenal went there, didn't they, and pretty much did a number on them. But I think, as you said there, that they're very much guaranteed a top 4, and so they'll be playing Champions League football next season. You can't put that in any other category than absolutely smashing it, can you? And as you said before, Europa League, I think they're the best team in the tournament, in the competition. So I think they'll win that. And they've got the best manager probably in the world in that competition, because he absolutely loves it. So and it'd be nice to see silverware back at Villa Park. So I think that's a really, really good one. That
I think it's fair. And I think, they've had, obviously, Morgan Rogers has really become a sort of, taken that club on the shoulders a point in terms of the creative force for them. But the one who don't think he gets a lot of, noise around his name, I think Boubacar Kamara has been excellent for them.
Yeah.
The record that they've got when he's in there in that midfield, it just allows everybody else that kind of freedom to kind of play around. And it's been noticeable when he's not there. And he came back from a massively long layoff as well, Kamara did. So he's been super important. And then obviously they kept Emi Martinez because there was rumours that he was coming to United at the start of the season. He hung on. Ollie Watkins took a bit time to get going, but they've noticed him not being out, and then they've got Tammy Abraham in now as well, so they have another option up there.
And Morgan Rogers, of course.
Exactly, Morgan Rogers banging it in. So really, really strong season. Yeah, I think we have to say absolutely smashing it for Aston Villa. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I do think that's fair.
Totally agree.
Right, and we're halfway through. We've got the 10 teams remaining.
I'm struggling now, I've got to be honest. I'm struggling for a team who are tanking it. Because I don't want to see it. Had we beat Liverpool last week, I would have probably put Liverpool in this category, but I thought Liverpool were excellent against us. Even though we weren't great, I thought Liverpool were very, very good. And I'm not sure if I can put a team who were 6th in the table, even though they were expected to be better in the former champions. I don't think I can put them in that, so I'm going to have to leave them out of that, I'm afraid. And I'm going to move on to Brighton and Hove Albion. Because they're a side I thought would kick on this season. I thought they'd kick on for Europe. I thought this was the year, because they've had a few years where they've been there or thereabouts. They've always been a team who were very difficult to beat. And it started again. It was one of them ones where they started not so early. Had a little run where Welbeck was banging the goals in for them, but then they've tailed off again, and they're on a pretty bad run. Just looking at the form table there, they haven't won in the last 6, lost 3 of them. So they're actually, apart from Spurs, in the worst form, and obviously Wolves, but we'll not bother about that. We'll leave them out of it. This even includes Burnley, by the way. They're in the worst form of the bottom half of the table. So for a side, they've only won 7 all season. So they've not won 9. They've drawn a lot of games. But I thought this year would be. I thought with the players they've got, with like I say, with the manager as well, Earlitzer, who's had it's his 2nd season, isn't it? And he's meant to be this really, really good manager and all this stuff. I was probably expecting European football from them, and they're not going to get that. So I think out of all them teams that are left, they're probably maybe West Ham, but we've got another position for them, haven't we? We've got another round to go. So, and West Ham are showing signs of improvement. So it was probably between them and Chelsea, but Chelsea are okay because Chelsea are Chelsea 5th. Yeah, so Chelsea are okay and won 4 of the last 5. So Brighton. I'll put Brighton there.
think Brighton is tanking it. There we go. So we may want to need to come back to the Liverpool discussion because I might have some opinions on that. But at the minute, I think Brighton, it's just not really working with Hertzler anymore, is it? And I think a lot of players because I think Brighton are one of those teams that people, when it comes to the Premier League, don't necessarily watch every week or see. They fall in love with a player or two that does things. I think Matoma's one of those. Matoma's been really quiet for a little while. A player that, not long ago, everyone was absolutely screaming of to buy. He was almost I'd class him in the Semenyo category that we had at the start of the season. He was the one everybody wanted because he was hitting the numbers and he was emphatic. He's disappeared off. You say, I love Danny Welbeck, but the fact that, that he's become your most reliable force, they've had to get Pascal Gross back from Germany to try and kind of reinvigorate something. It's just not happening for them. It really isn't. And he said they've quietly been dropping down and down and down. And I think there's a little bit of unnerviness with Hertzler there as well. I think their expectations.
I think he's under pressure. I agree with it. I agree with that. Yeah.
I think they've always felt that he hasn't got a plan B, that there isn't that kind of flexibility. The changes in game is a little bit. I think we spoke to this guy a little while ago, I think, when we did the All About Brighton episode, and he was talking about it, saying that, Tony Bloom, I think, is excellent, but Hertzler, they're not too sure that they're in the right direction.
And like this is going back to, early in the show where we said Palace tanking it and then move them up. I don't think I'm in a position where I would swap them over. I don't know about Heather. I'm not sure if I'm in a position where I would say, wait, hang on, Brighton are having a better season than Palace because they're not. Palace are now above Brighton. I've got the league table.
They're 1 point above, but Palace has got a -4 goal difference and Brighton has a 0 goal difference. So
and Palace are managing. It's tough because Palace are managing a European campaign, which Brighton aren't.
So you're expecting Brighton to be, I would say, top 10, possibly, pushing for that Europa League. 7th or 8th, I would probably have Brighton. And like I say, I thought they would be the ones who not challenge top 4, but certainly be in amongst it. So that's why, I think if you put them against expectation at the start of the season, I think that they're not having a very good season. We'll leave them there, I think.
We'll leave them there. There we go. We'll leave Brighton there for now. Heather, who else from the board would you like to select?
I think I'll put Liverpool in not so great.
You're going for Liverpool for not so great. Go on then. Give us your reasons for Liverpool and not so great.
Because obviously they won last year, so you'd expect them to really still be in the top 4 at least. They've gone to 6 now, but for a long time they dropped right off. And I just don't think they're playing well at all. And I know they've obviously had the tragedy with Jota and everything, and that's obviously affected them at the beginning of the season. But they have got some very highly played and highly rated players that just aren't performing.
Liverpool for me. So I think they've been tanking it because for me, I say the Jota thing no doubt has had a massive effect on that club. You can completely understand that, but they won the title and they spent 450 million quid, and they are literally a mile off of it. Not even just that it's a mile off of it, and it's when they won the title in the COVID season. And they came back. They lost Van Dijk, and the whole thing shattered like a pack of cards when Van Dijk went down. And that's not happened this time. The players are there. They've had the Alexander Isak transfer off the back of Ekatike's cause. Yeah. If they'd have bought, say, the whole Mark Gahey debacle, the stuff that kind of went on, that I think they bought people in the wrong areas in terms of what they spent. I think they've overspent on some. Wirtz has taken some time to get going, and now I think we're starting to see the crux of it. I agree. On their day, I still think Liverpool can be the best team in the Premier League and can still play the level of football. It's not quite happening now this season under Slot. And I just think if we look at expectations, everyone had Liverpool to win the title. I think
Yeah.
we all had Liverpool to win the title.
Mhm.
And the fact that it's the third week of February and we're praising them for being sixth, having had a rough period, it's a massive drop-off. Even more so if you look at Brighton's drop-off from 10th to 14th. Liverpool.
You probably swap them over then.
Should we swap them all? I can't. The only thing I'm more than happy for them to be swapped over. The only thing I'm looking at it is I think that I get the slot stuff, but I think they've had a bit of an issue. The issue with these is being. I agree with the money stuff. I agree with the issue with these and the only signed Ekatigi to piss Newcastle off, and then the signs Isaac as well because Isaac wanted to go there. But I think Wirtz has been started slowly, but in the last few games has been outstanding.
Better, yeah.
And I think they've got one of the best players in the league who goes under the radar quite a lot in Szoboszlai. But I get what you're seeing, where we were at the start of the season and where they started the season because they were winning games ugly, weren't they? You were thinking, oh, this is going to be difficult to pull back. And the fact that they're falling off and they're never going to win the league in a million Sundays and they've got to get Champions League. Otherwise, he's sacked. Isn't he?
So, and it's the drop-off of, you said with Szoboszlai, the drop-off of players like McAllister this season, like Konate this season, for how good they were. And that start period they had, just as you said, last-minute winners, which they were buzzing about, you're like, that's not going to carry on. If they'd have dropped a few more of those, they'd be mid-table.
And I might be being a little bit sort of biased because they did actually play well against us, but it was also us playing badly. If you want to swap them two round, I'm happy to go along with it. But obviously, if it's 2 against 1, I'm more than happy to do it. If you want to swap them.
What do you think, Eva? Where are you at?
I think with what you've said, and obviously like there's the whole Mo Salah business as well, isn't there? Like he's not been playing well, and all the things that he's come out with in the press and stuff is just.
I still think that Liverpool are in. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised they go really far in the Champions League. Really wouldn't be surprised. For me, they're one of, even though where they are in the Premier League, I still think they're one of the favourites for the Champions League. So I think always felt Liverpool in the knockout competition are a nightmare to be in Europe, and I think the players are there the way they play, and I think because I'm not convinced this is going to end up really happy with Slot come the summer. I think whoever inherits that, there's a fantastic squad of players there. Fantastic squad of players. My
cousin's girlfriend's a Liverpool fan, and she thinks they'll win the Champions League.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think it will suit them nicely. And if they've switched off from the Premier League a bit and they're on Champions League mode,
I agree with the money thing's probably right because the players obviously Ekatiki's done all. Should we say he's done okay? Because at times he looks brilliant.
Tailed off, isn't it? But
at times he looks brilliant, and at times he looks as if he doesn't know where the goal is. But at times he's looked great. He's not had that consistency, has he? And I think if they could get to a point where they can get Isaac in the team and get them playing together, you probably got a Champions winning team there. But it's I think if we revisit this at the end of the season and see where they finish.
Yeah,
I mean, possibly move them up, but for now, I think I think where they were expected at the start of the season to where they are now, and the fact that they really aren't playing very well.
I think they'll get. I think they'll get Champions League as well. I do think that's how the season will end up. I think that this Liverpool team will start to sort of pull some stuff together, and they'll be more consistent because it's top 5. Because
we can move them to not so great.
They could potentially be promoted at the end of the season, depending on Champions League performance.
Right, I'm happy with that one. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
There's your pressure on a Slot right there. There is your pressure. Right, so we've got how many got left? We've got is that 8 left? Is that my maths right? We got right. Who's next? Is it Ant? Your next pick?
It is, and I'm going to go as expected, and I am going to go Chelsea. For this one,
Chelsea,
as expected. I didn't. I'm aware we've been rattling on a while, so I'm not going into too much detail about it. But obviously, again, one where they have sacked the manager. I'm not
Sack Maresca and they got Rossini in, yeah.
That's it, yeah. And Rossini's done a really, really good job since he's come in. Got them playing some nice stuff. I thought they weren't great in the last game that they played, but he's got them winning games. They're doing well in the cup. Did I think they'd win the league? No. Did I think they'd be in the top 4? Yes. And they're just like a Man United very good run off not being in the top 4, if you know what I mean by that. But they're on about the same form as United are. I think they'll get top 4 over Liverpool. Just the fact they've got the great thing now, they've got Cole Palmer back.
Yeah.
And if he could get a few more goals, obviously got Estevao as the most exciting youngster in the league. Who's their centre forward? Pedro. He's starting to score some goals, isn't he? So they look good, and I really like Enzo Fernandez, and I really like him. So I think I would have said start of the season top 6, and they're in the top 6.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'd have said the same. Expected to be challenging up there, I think. And there was a point, they were a bit higher and pushing, but I think that was always at the ceiling. And the Club World Cup maybe got everybody a bit excited for Chelsea. But it's a young team that's still developing. And Maresca was obviously having issues behind the scenes with Chelsea. That was going one way. And I like Rossini. I like what I'm hearing of Rossini, and interesting to see what he's going to do with them over a bit of time. So Cole Palmer back's massive because he's just an X factor. I mean, if you can get Estevao coming, imagine that team next season with Estevao and Palmer sort of starting in it, absolutely at the top of their rockers. If they can get if they can sort the defence out and get a goalkeeper you can rely on, Chelsea could make that next step. But.
Well, the rumoured in signing Robin Roths in the summer, which he's phenomenal goalkeeper.
He's very good.
Yeah, I think they were a good goalkeeper away from being a very good side. I'm happy having them there.
Yeah,
I mean, they gave their best goalkeeper away to us, and then he's now gone to Arsenal to sit on the bench. So.
That's true.
And to be fair, Heather, I thought they gave their best goalkeeper last season to you guys.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Petrovic.
No, I think Kepa's better than Petrovic.
Yeah, but I thought he was brilliant last season for them.
He was good for them last season. Yeah, he's been not.
He's been a bit wobbly
this season.
Yeah,
yeah, I'd agree. So Chelsea, as expected, then. Heather, next from the board, who would you like to select?
It hurts my heart to do this, but I think I'm going to have to put Leeds in pretty good.
Yes, Leeds in pretty good. Of course, promoted side, doing well. Daniel Farke's adapted, isn't he? He's finally adapted to the Premier League. What do you make of Leeds?
Everybody thought they'd be going straight back down, so to be where they are and picking up some of the results that they have been, I can't really put them anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement because you can't put them as smashing it because they're still in a relegation battle. I don't think they'll go. I think they've probably got enough now.
Yeah.
But there's 6 points off, so there are a couple of bad results away. The goal difference is better than the teams down there, so I think they'll be okay. But you've got to give them kudos as well for the Calvert-Lewin sign, and they've kept him fit, which is phenomenally good.
Yeah.
So fair play to them. And again, a team that were looking as if they were going to go right back down, played City away, getting tanked at half time. He makes a change and never not looked back, have they? So that's an excellent one.
Yeah, I'd agree. Really good performance. Through the season, they've been difficult at times to beat. They're more, they're more structured than Farke's been in the past, isn't it? It's all been a bit too kind of gung ho, but this is a lead side with a bit of now. So I like. Is that Anton Stack? I like him. I think he's been a really good player for them. And their Calvert-Lewin's been, he's been able to stay fit, and he's looked like a revelation again for them. And it's just come together really good for them. So yeah, I think they're not getting the plaudits because obviously Sunderland have been so fantastic of the promoted sides. But in any other season, compared to what we were coming into this season, we'd have said, wow, the fact that Leeds are kind of in it, that's amazing. But obviously Sunderland have kind of set the bar a bit differently this season, so it's gone underneath. But tremendous.
I think that's why you can't put them in the top bracket, can you? Because there's just a few teams who are also having really good seasons. Otherwise, as you said, any other season, if it not been for like ourselves, like your Brentfords, your Villas, which we've mentioned, which is a little bit of spoil of what I'm going to say next, but you would probably put them in there. But the fact that it's been the last few weeks, hasn't it, instead of a constant, if you know what I mean by that. And again, they have spent a lot of money. So, yeah, I mean, fair play to them. And like I say, two out of the three are hopefully going to stay up. But you would see out of the two now, who's still in the relegation battle, probably Leeds, and we've never been in one so far this season.
Yeah, this is it. I think pretty good's fair. I think pretty good is certainly
no,
fair.
I agree.
So go on then, Ant. Who's absolutely smashing it this season?
I think you can actually lay claim to both of our teams doing this in Bournemouth and in Sunderland, because Bournemouth have, after a little bad run, have really come back into it, and have also, you got to remember, Bournemouth have lost the best player. Yeah. And for me, one of the best players in the league.
Best player and the entire back five.
Yeah, an entire back four. So do we put I'm going to leave that for you, Heather, to choose where Bournemouth are going to go, because I don't want to spoil your thunder, and I'm going to put the lads at the top. Again, a phenomenal season. Yes, we've had a little bit of a blip lately where, results haven't gone our way. We've lost 3 of our last 4. We got to look at, we've played Arsenal, Liverpool, who else did we get beat off? Brentford. Some good sides. Our away form's a little bit worrying because we need to start picking up results away from home. But if you'd said to me, look, you're 10th, 11th, you've beat Newcastle this season, you're fairly comfortable where you are, and you've signed Granit Xhaka, and you've got to remember Granit Xhaka's been injured for the last 3 to 4 weeks. We lost 7 players to the Cup of Nations. We've had injuries, and we're still there. We're still fighting. We're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. We've got a favourable draw away at Port Vale or Bristol City, which I just think you've got to put as favourites for that, no matter who we play. So it could end up being a really, really remarkable season where we're back at Wembley again, even though I said I'd never go again. So yeah, I think you've got to put us up there. I really do. And again, I hate to be biased, but I don't think you can put us anywhere else, because, like I said at the start, before a ball was kicked, we were written off by nearly everybody. Not by me, because I thought we'd have a good set. I didn't think we'd be 10th, but I thought we'd be okay. I thought we'd be where Leeds are, just popping our heads up a little bit, maybe looking over our shoulders. But as soon as I watched us against West Ham at the start of the season, we're okay. And then obviously we had a really, really good October, November where we went Forest and beat Forest, and drew with Arsenal at home, and then the fact that we've come so hard to beat, and that any game you come up against us, you're going to have to really play well to win, and you've got to play well for 90 minutes, and that's what Liverpool did on last week, and we were the last team in the league to lose at home. I think shouldn't be going under the radar at all. A promoted side doing that's tremendous. We broke the record for amount of games unbeaten home. A newly promoted side's gone at home. So the records are just getting smashed left, right, and centre. So yeah, I'm more than happy with us being there. And I think when you take your red and white glasses off, I think everyone's probably got us up there. So that's fair play.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I definitely don't think it's biased at all, mate. I think you can't argue with it. I mean, as you said, everybody coming in, I'm mostly because of the way the Premier League's been the last few years, is that promoted sides haven't had a hope in hell. There's been that gap, and if you remember, we were going back to this time last season. Everyone's talking about is anybody going to be able to come up and do something? Is the gap too big? Is there a problem? And this, that, and the other. And Sunderland have managed, the reinvestment in that squad really well coming into the Premier League. I remember the group chat when you signed Granit Xhaka, and we were all like, "That's an unbelievable signing. That's crazy." And everybody then went, "Hang on a minute, that's serious stuff." And then when you've added that to people like, unknowns to the Premier League and to the shores over here, like Siddiqui coming in here, players that you already had on your books like Lafay and things like that have stepped up to the Premier League, haven't they? So.
Yeah, I think we've got some players that will be very, very lucky to keep a hold of in January. In August, and when the transfer window opens in the summer. I think I mentioned before, Robin Ross is wanted by Chelsea. I think Noah Siddiqui would get into a lot of teams in this league, and I think Nordi Mukiele, the right back stroke centre half, has been the bargain. I think that's been the bargain of the transfer window. 12 million for him, who looks like a Champions League player. I think he's been outside. We all know how good Granit Xhaka is, and yes, he's our best player, and we're not the same without him. But everyone knew how good Xhaka was. Nordi Mukiele came. No one really knew how he'd adapt, and he's been outstanding. They all have. There's only Simon Adingra who hasn't done it, and obviously he's gone out on loan. But every sign that's come in has done the job. Like I say, we've got, for me, one of the best goalkeepers in the league, one of the best midfielders in the league, potentially one of the best strikers in the league if he keeps on his forward trajectory in Brian Broby. So yeah, I'm chuffed. I'm just looking at the last 5 teams, right, and we've got a huge fucking issue about where to put Man City.
A City are a problem. There might need some. Yeah, we may have to reshuffle when it comes to how we're going to work that. But
we may have to have a gap somewhere.
We may have to have a gap, or we may have to change the rules at the end if we don't. If we can't make it happen. But go on then, Heather. So we've got 1 spot left in absolutely tanking it. I presume you're not going to put Arsenal there. Which of the sides are going there?
I think it's going to have to be West Ham.
West Ham, yeah. West Ham into tanking it. Funny season for West Ham, really. Again, if you look at recency bias, you can kind of do things differently, but it's not overall. It's been a bit of a cluster mess.
2-3 years ago, they were winning the Europa League or one of those?
League, yeah. And they sacked David Moyes, and everybody went.
Just all gone downhill. It's going to be an absolutely massive brand new stadium that they don't have to pay any rent for in the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah. Have they sacked a manager as well? They have, haven't they? They sacked a manager.
They did, yeah. So they've got Nuno's there now, isn't he? Because they got rid of
the lad who was at Wolves, didn't they? Earlier, Lopetegui.
They had Lopetegui, that was it. Lopetegui into the season, and then they got they got Nuno in. And to be honest, I watched them against Manchester United in midweek. They were excellent in terms of their organisation compared to when we watched them earlier in the season. They were just, they were so open. It was messy. They didn't have any energy in midfield. They didn't look very physical. But I thought, by having, I think Mateus Fernandes has added a lot in there. As you said, Somerville's on fantastic form. It's really impressive. I think they're in a much better place, and Nuno's got it there. But over the course of the season, it's been awful. And they got money in as well. They just didn't. They got good money for Kudus was like 50 million. I think he went to Spurs for. And it's just they had a lot of dead wood. And I think January they've shipped a lot of it out. And they brought in some players that have made a bit of an impact. But overall, West Ham currently sat in the relegation zone, you have to say.
Kind of put them there and then they're going to beat us on Saturday, isn't it?
David's well happy. Here we go. Come in earlier and read the rules, David. Liverpool with relegation zone, lower leagues, you're having a laugh, finish 5th. That's not what this is. So, read the title. Expectations versus reality. Otherwise, we'd just be reading the league table. So, go and do that if it makes you happy.
Yeah. And to be fair, David, I know you've joined late, but I had I put an argument on not so great. And then we also are thinking about moving them up at the end of the season.
It isn't exactly end of the season.
And it's the same for West Ham, isn't it? It's the same for West Ham. We could be looking at the end of the season, if they pull off, what would be a miraculous recovery, because they were terrible at the start of the season, like really, really terrible. And if they pull that out, and they get out of it, I would happily swap them with either of the not so greats, all 3 of the not so greats, to be honest. And I think, as you said before, Liverpool have probably got, if Liverpool hit top 4. I think you're probably looking at we move Brighton, Newcastle, or Palace down. So
I think end of the season, you're right. Yeah, it changes completely.
Yeah, if we come back to this, we probably are moving a few teams about. So please don't take any offence. It's just 3 people's opinion.
This is it. It's just at
And
this
actually, it
moment
was
in
Sam's
time.
opinion, and he talked us over.
Exactly. I talked
And mine, to be fair.
Yeah, and others, yeah.
I'm just very persuasive.
We outvoted you.
I came up with 450 million reasons why,
Yeah,
and it was enough.
Yeah, and I got outvoted, and like I say, you cannot argue with democracy, can you? So that's what we're all here for. There we are.
This is it. We had a powerful discussion about it. As we
They're
said, at the end of the
definitely-
season, it might change.
They're definitely a team there where you can think of the three
They can
not
go
so
and speak.
great could very easily be dropped down into absolutely tanking it, because it's like, it's at a point where we're like, we're not sure. But I think we could probably leave Forest entangling it and probably leave Spurs entangling it no matter what. And Liverpool and West Ham have got the potential to move up.
I mean, but Brighton can move up into as expected if they get 12 foot higher.
Exactly. And if Wolves don't pick up any more points by the end of the season and do end up like the worst side ever, then
we can drop them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is it. So it's been a challenge. We've enjoyed it because it's been a difficult one to do, and it's going to get harder because there's a few. But I think, with the teams we have left, I think you kind of have to put West Ham in there with the quivers. They're looking better, and they've made it a good fight.
Can I? Because it's my turn next time. Can I make an argument to move Wolves into not so great, and to put Man City in as expected, please?
I think that's fair. I was looking at that, actually thinking Wolves are quite high, and the teams left, and Man City into as expected. There you go.
Yeah, just and I'll just mention City. I thought they'd make a challenge for the league. They are making a challenge for the league. I think the title race is on. I really do, especially with Arsenal failing to beat Brentford at the weekend. Was it the weekend? It was Monday, wasn't it? Yeah. No, it was a weekend. I can't remember. It was last week. It was Thursday.
They've got Wolves. Have they got Wolves tomorrow, or there's a midweek game they've got there?
Yes,
that's good.
Yeah, Arsenal have got Wolves. Yeah,
if they mess that up, then it really is on.
I personally think the title race is on. I personally thought City would be in the top four. They are in the top four, having a good. Only lost 5 games all season. I think they're having a good season. Haaland back on form. Haaland started the season brilliantly, tailed off. But I've got to put City in a good one up there because of what they've done in January. They picked out 2 players that they needed players for, signed, and like I say, with as we've said on Semenyo, I think was the best player outside of the top teams in the big 6. I thought he was the best player outside of the big 6, and they've signed him. He's hit the ground running, been absolutely outstanding. They've got into a final of the League Cup. They're still in the FA Cup. Yeah, they're still in the FA Cup. So they're still battling all 4 fronts. I don't think anyone wouldn't have had them in the top 4 in a title race. So they probably deserve to be there. So I'm all there. We've moved Wolves, haven't we? So I think that looks a bit more balanced now. And then we've got where have we got now? We've got an as expected, pretty good, and an absolutely smasher, which I think I can fit all 3 of them in now. So I'm happy now.
I think this is it. I think we've rebalanced it because it was looking a bit. I'd agree. Man City is expected to be in the title race. You'd expect it. I think the title race is on. So I think Arsenal will get over the line. I still think that. I'm still not completely convinced that City won't have their moments too, particularly when it's on front. But I do agree. I think Guehi and Semenyo add just another dimension, and I like it because I'm one. If Arsenal go and win this league, I want to see them win the league. I want to see them deserve it, not just because everyone else has fallen away. And I think this Manchester City, as they have been playing, can push them really hard, and they've got to play each other, which could be a really exciting fixture in Arsenal. So. Yeah, it's going to be very good. No, I think that's a good move, man. I'm happy with that. All right, Heather, of the 3, do you want to... Is it Bournemouth time? Is it time to find a home? No, we're just not going to do them.
I think I want to put Fulham in as expected because they're generally sort of mid-table-ish.
I agree.
There's not really a lot to say. There's not really a lot to say about them. Harry Wilson's doing fantastically. They've got some good players there, and they're just as expected, really. Yeah,
lost the last 3 games as well, and I think had we done this, Christmas time, because I think they were up in like 8th or 7th round about Christmas time. You're probably thinking we're having this conversation about them smashing it, but I agree. I think they've just been they've been one of them teams. They've been like Everton, haven't they? Where it's just they're there and they've picked up some really good results, but they've also gone on a little bit of a rough bit of form. And Wilson's gone off the boil. Wilson's gone off the boil ever since I put him in my fantasy team. So if you're a good player and you want to go on a bad run, make sure I put you in the fantasy team because
I've done the same. So
it's what we like to call Ant giving them the Shrewsbury treatment.
Yes, it's me doing a Shrewsbury on them. I've done the same with Ryan Shirk. No, it was Ryan Shirk or Phil Foden when they scored a hat-trick, and it was Phil Foden scored a hat-trick, and then I put him in, he hadn't played. Now he's not getting a game. So.
And I put Gamarish in, and he's now injured. So
I'm with Heather on that. I think they are just as expected. Right, where am I putting Bournemouth and where am I putting Arsenal? Heather, where do you want Bournemouth? And then I can just because I can give arguments for either or here.
I know this is a trouble. Like
and they're your team, so I don't want to like talk about your team out of turn.
To be honest, I'd put Arsenal in as expected and us in pretty good, but I know that just throws the balance off.
See, I would definitely put Arsenal above as expected because I didn't think they would be as. I know they've fallen off. I know they've fallen off a little bit, but the start of the season,
done it, have they? So it just
they were never. They were like. See, the problem is with Arsenal. I just want Arsenal to go and blow teams away, and they're not doing it yet.
No.
And so, do we then? And we can't put United there, but do we put Leeds up?
No.
But no, I don't think we can. So it's got to be one of them two.
It's got to be one of those two. And I guess where are Bournemouth currently in the table, Heather? Because they've picked up again.
Ninth, I think.
Bournemouth, let's have a look. League table
are
ninth, level on points with Everton. So they're level on points with Everton. So do we put them in pretty good because you're level on points with Everton? Or where were you expecting? But again, we're on about it. It's expectations against reality, isn't it? And then
when we did the initial thing, I put us in 8th.
Right. Was that before you got rid of your entire back four and Antoine Semenyo?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So do we put? I think
I say a back 5 because we had Kepa last year and he was what?
Yeah.
Like the goal difference now. We were last season, I think we were like plus 12 or something on goal difference. And now we're in minus.
Semenyo's tricky, isn't he? Because he's not gone long. And it's again one of these, if you get to the end of the season and you're here, having lost Semenyo for 4 months and do it, but you've reacted really well since he's gone, but it's still quite early, isn't it? Since it's only been like 3-4 weeks.
But Hyan is the new Brazilian superstar. He's played 3 games. He hasn't even played a full 90 minutes yet, and he's got 2 goals and an assist. So
yeah, he looks a good player.
He does look good.
I watched him the other. I think it was last week. I watched the highlights, and he looks very, very good.
He's really exciting.
Do we? Because I can't make an argument now to put anyone else in absolutely smashing it. And if you don't want them there,
I don't mind. Then I'll let you decide, Ant. You two decide because I don't want to.
If you're saying you're pretty much where you thought, then we can't put you in the top bracket, but we can put you in pretty good. And I can't make an argument for anyone else to go into absolutely smashing it. I can't. So I think because this is difficult because we expected City to be in the top 4. But we would probably expect Arsenal to be in the top 4, but the fact Arsenal are top of the league without maybe hitting top gear yet.
This is
do we see that? And the fact that they've,
I think you have to consider it, don't you? That they
have to,
and it's beyond the kind of game and a bit, isn't it? It's like 4 points. So
yeah, and the fact that they've only lost 3 games all season, which is the least out of everybody. They've got the best goal difference. That's only by 2 goals, but they've got the best goal difference. They've conceded the least by a comfortable amount. They've got 6 goals over that. They're only 4 goals behind City for goals scored. So that's basically Haaland So City have scored 54, Arsenal have scored 50. We're still yet to see the best of the likes of Gyökeres, who I think will start to hit a little bit of form. Yeah, I think they've been without Odegaard all season. Who's their captain, and that Rice has been
without Saka. They've been without Saka for some of it as well.
Saka, yeah. Saliba was out for a while. Gabriel was out for a while. So their new defenders have stepped up. Timber's been outstanding. Raya's been outstanding. I think we've got to put them there. I think we've got to, even though they're probably where I probably thought they would be third or fourth this season, because I thought Liverpool and City would be the top two. I think we've got to. I think we've got just the stats alone have said that they're having an outstanding season. So just because they're falling off a little bit in the last few weeks shouldn't really counteract the fact that the top of the league by 4 points can go 7 points clear with I know teams will have a game number, can go 7 points clear tomorrow. Have done the signings, all the signings that they signed during the summer have done well. Even, you can see Gyökeres has now started to find his form, but he looks good as a 9, which they needed. Sort of what they needed, they've done. And again, another team who were in the final of the cup competition. Are they still in the FA Cup?
They're still in the FA Cup, yeah.
Still in the FA Cup, final of the League Cup, top of the league. Yeah.
Haven't they got Mansfield or something?
Yeah, they've got Mansfield. Yeah.
The teams that they've had is just ridiculous. You'd almost think it's an unfair draw of some kind, but
they just walk into it. It's them and City every year. I swear, it's just played League 1 and 2 teams all the way till about the semi-final. It's just I mean, Arsenal, another one, big chance in the Champions League as well. They're top of that. They've barely dropped anything in the Champions League. Did they have a clean sweep? Was it clean sweep who wins of the Champions League in the end? Might have been.
I mean, a quadruple's still on. A quadruple's still on for them in City. But you expected City with Haaland to be top 3. And I think because we've got Liverpool that low, you've got to put Arsenal that high. I think that's quite balanced that now. I've got to be honest. The only, like I say, the only change I'll make is probably put Liverpool not so great, but you've I think we're balanced. I really do. I don't think there's no argument there. Like David's put there, Everton aren't smashing it though. We had Everton.
They're in 10th, aren't they?
No one had Everton to go down, did there? No one had Everton to go down. No one had Everton to win the league or be in the top 4, but the way you probably thought they would be at the start.
They've improved a hell of a lot from last season. So pretty good, but then that they're on that trajectory. And again, a couple of games, but it's so tight in that middle area. A couple of games either way for any team, suddenly they jump up to like 7th or 6th, and suddenly then you're in a different conversation. But at the moment, I think you have to say pretty good. If they carry on the trajectory, then maybe things look different. But I'd agree. I think it's fairly balanced. So I think if we just sort of recap, so we got in the top, we've got Brentford, who I think no arguments, absolutely smashing it. For Villa to be in 3rd anywhere near a title race is really impressive. Sunderland absolutely destroying it, having come up from sort of promoted anywhere near the bottom half and have been challenging in European places for a lot of the season. Arsenal, top of the league, as we said, could go 7 points clear. I think tomorrow night when they play Wolves. If that goes wrong, that might change things very drastically. Pretty good. So you've got Everton, as we said, massive improvement this season. It looks good. Adjusted well to the new home stadium and could well end the season strongly. Manchester United, on kind of probably more recent sort of form under Michael Carrick, have looked a different side, look very entertaining, are picking wins up into that. And
where did you finish last season? 5th bottom?
Yeah, 15th.
Yeah, and now you're 4th in the table.
Exactly, so, massive jump up. Definitely helping with having no Europe and such, but it's the base that United will need to go again next season and to try and make the next step, whatever happens with new managers and all the rest of it. So won't be a dull day in the summer for me either, I'm sure, with Manchester United. Leeds as well. Leeds performing well, in a relegation fight, but not drowning by any extent, and a good chance that they may well get out of that and doing well and have really adapted well, we have to say. And I think Bournemouth fared, with the reaction that they've had to Semenyo in the recent weeks has been positive. But then to lose that whole back line and to still be able to And again, bringing players in. Trufair's been excellent down the left, hasn't he? And then, this new kid, super wonder kid that you've got, really exciting. So a real pretty good season for Bournemouth, which could get better if they carry on. City expecting a title race yet. Burnley expected in relegation fodder yet. Chelsea expected in Champions League. And Fulham, where Fulham always are, just sitting nicely. Mid-table sort of spot. Crystal Palace, not so great yet. I think we ummed and ahed with tanking at one point. Depends how the back end of the season goes, I think, for them. Newcastle have been disappointing. Brighton was one we did have an absolutely tanking in at one point and possibly on that trajectory. So a possible by the end of the season that might change. And obviously Wolves have had an awful season. And Forest absolutely tanking it. Yeah, shocking. Shocking from where they kind of were in the fall off. Tottenham, again, problems everywhere as we've seen. They're in trouble. Liverpool's the one. Obviously, we've had that kind of discussion with the drop-off, but they have looked better recently and wouldn't put it past them to have a really good run in the Champions League and make Champions League places. West Ham, of course, again, looking better recently, but overall, we have to say, I think it's fairly balanced.
I think it is, yeah. I think we can definitely make arguments at the end of the season to move a couple from the bottom to the not so great and swap them over. But I think the three other ones are fairly there. I think they're locked in. The only real change will probably be if City win the league. You need to move them up and move a couple of teams down. But I think that's really, really balanced. Sam, I've enjoyed this. It's been very, very good.
Yeah. I think it's been good. Yeah, nice little change up, and we've filled a good amount of time. It's been a good discussion. So I shall save that on file.
I think we should. We think we should come back to it. Definitely think we should come back to it at the end of the season. Move some teams.
I'd say take a screenshot of that, tweet it out, and say, "What do you think?" and see what sort of argument happens in the comments.
And see the absolute destruction of opinions. What do you mean? I don't understand. Why can they be there? Yeah.
We'll never be allowed in Liverpool ever again.
No, we don't. It's Josh's fault for leaving. He would have been able to defend it, but he's not here. So We've tanked it for you. Graham's enjoyed the discussion, so that's the main.
I hope we took your mind off the Charlton result, buddy. Fingers crossed. But the lasses are still doing well and got a victory over Durham on Sunday. So, and Birmingham also choked. So I think that's pretty much Charlton there in the WSL. So should I say congratulations now, or should I wait until later? I think I'll wait.
Wait until the big official ceremony. So there we go. We've covered it all. I know it's late. We've been on late.
Oh, he's muted himself. There we go.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did you want a couple of minutes on FA Cup before we go around? I know we've been on.
Very, very, very briefly. We got the job done against a rough and tumble Oxford side who left the foot in a fair bit, even though we seemed to get all the bookings, which was quite strange. What I will say, and I didn't like the fact that their manager refused to shake Dennis Serkin's hand. And Dennis Serkin was the one who won the penalty. I think when you look at it back, when you watch it in real time, it doesn't look a penalty. It looks as if the player gets the ball, but when you watch it back, I think the referee's made an excellent decision. And we put the penalty away. We could have won by a lot more goals, but their goalkeeper, Matt Ingham, who was the second choice goalkeeper, actually made three good saves and two great saves. So fair enough, fair play at Oxford, they took us all away. But I don't like this, he basically said you have to earn, respect has to be earned and this, that and the other. Listen, at the end of the day, if you're professional, everyone should shake each other's hand at the end of the game. Doesn't matter how angry you are, how upset you are. I've been in some games when I used to play football where I've been very, very angry and very disappointed. But I've always shook the opposition players' hands and I've always shook the referee's hands. So I think that's very poor from Matt Bloomfield, who unfortunately someone I'm actually quite like as well. So it's really, really difficult and a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth after the game. But well done to Sunderland, and like I said before, we've got a favourable draw, I'll say, against Port Vale or Bristol City. So fingers crossed. But yeah, that'll do for that, mate.
That'll do. There we go. Sunderland on a cup run as well. Who knows where that could? Who knows that could end up in the season of seasons? But thank you everybody for joining us for something different that we did today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and it's been a lovely Tuesday evening to spend with you all. So there's nothing left really but to say, where can we find these wonderful people, and where is everybody finding you?
I would be on Twitter and Blue Sky, maybe just Blue Sky soon. I say this every bloody week, but I'm at I'm at ant_Waters, and if you would like to follow me on there.
There you go, do check him out. And Heather, where can everybody find you?
I'm at Headhog73 on all of the various different platforms.
There you go, check Heather out as well. And I'm at Sam Absolute FBL on platforms and stuff and everywhere. But mostly, I may have to bring up the non-league graphics. I don't think I have the thingy, and I might have to move us over because it's all over the place tonight. But there we are. We are the Absolute Football Podcast. We are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you don't know about us, we do cover everything pretty much. We pretty much got it all covered between some very knowledgeable people across the shows. We have on a Monday our absolutely non-league show with Shah in collaboration with NL Full-Time. But we did a watch-along yesterday. We did Brentford versus Macclesfield, and I joined Shah and Jen, which was a good chat, good chinwag. Of course, we ended up talking about food, as tends to happen in the watch-alongs. That did happen, and we'll have it again. On a Tuesday, we are the Absolutely Premier League show, so do catch us on Tuesday at 8:30. It may well, I think it might be a watch-along next week, so I think there's some Premier League action potentially, so I'll have a little look at the schedule.
Yeah, there is definitely. No, is that not 2 weeks' time? Yeah, during the week.
Might be 2 weeks. It's definitely another midweek fixture. Yeah, I'll have a little look.
We've got Leeds 2 weeks tonight, definitely. So I'm going. So I'm just thinking I'm not beyond in 2 weeks.
We'll have a little gander. So it may well be the show again. It may not be. But we'll have some Premier League action to talk about because it is, of course, back this weekend. On Wednesday, tomorrow, is the Team Chaos talking absolutely women's football, everything from WSL and WSL2. Plenty to talk about with Freya, Paul and the team. They're looking forward to that. And on Thursday, it's Sean the Rowdy Rabble, the absolutely EFL show, Championship League 1 and League 2. And probably a few of the FA Cup ties they're going to touch on well on Thursday. Very exciting. You can become a YouTube member. It's exciting. You get to find out all about Ant behind the scenes, which is worth the membership fee alone. Plus, we've got special other episodes coming behind the scenes. You get perks and the badges and emojis in the chat, all sorts of little benefits you get, and hopefully a few more we'll be adding soon as well. We do interviews, we do club episodes. There's a new Women in Football season coming. I'm going to Maidenhead on Saturday to start recording first our new series, which I'm very excited about. Going to be very interesting. Getting some bits and pieces from there, so keep the tabs on all the socials. We are on Twitter, Absolute Football Pod, YouTube and Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast, TikTok, Absolute Football Pod, Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _ Blue Sky, Absolute Football, and Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast, pretty much everywhere. But thank you, everybody, today for joining us. I'm going to see how I can get rid of this and go back to that for the end. There we are. No, everyone's disappeared. Where have you gone? Where are you? I've lost my friends. They're back. Thank you, everybody.
Sam. It's all about you.
Thank you to everybody in the chat as well. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the football. We'll catch you soon. Ciao for now.